By tonight, you'll launch your version of this, a refined, on-brand, expensive-looking website, free to build, and no code needed. We'll build it step by step together: homepage, services, shop, booking pages, blog, and a polished footer, so it looks like a designer made it. We're building this for Lena, a boutique wedding planner. She wants a clean, elegant, easy to update website with bookings, a blog, and a small shop. Now, she doesn't quite have a logo yet, so we are going to make her a simple Wordmark logo too. And as in building for Lena, you'll also customize every bit to your own brand and business. After the free trial, which I will show you how to legitimately extend well past the normal 2 weeks, it'll cost Lena and yourself around $15 a month for the website to be hosted and to be published and kept live, just so that you have a ballpark idea on the cost. Now, to follow along with this course and make the website, let's cover what you'll need. You are going to need a laptop or a desktop computer. Doing this on a phone or a tablet won't work very well. Now, this course is completely complimentary and free, but please do share the thanks by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with any friend who you know who is looking to build a website right now. Oh, and along with the hack on how to extend your Squarespace free trial, at the end of the video, I'll also discuss with you the 4 biggest design mistakes that are making your website look outdated right now. Thankfully, the solutions to make your website look current and modern are really easy and totally free, so they are very worth your time to be aware of. So here is the plan. These are simple steps, and just moments from now, you will have your first header section of your website ready and designed. First, let's check if the website address or domain name that you want is available. You want to head to domains.squarespace.com and type in your website name that you're currently thinking of. So Lena's business name is Ever After Events. I'm searching that. I can get everafter.events. The .com doesn't seem to be available. So maybe Ever After Events Boutique. We have .boutique, and if I scroll down, I can also see the .com here, so perfect. You can basically play around with trying different versions of the domain name that you want to find something appropriate and fitting for your business. Now, you don't need to buy your domain name yet. You'll get a free domain when we actually pay for your Squarespace plan towards the end of the video, so hold off on that. But at least what I like to do is just check that what you want is free or come up with a backup on domains.squarespace.com first. Oakley dokley, first things first, head to squarespace.com and click on one of the Get Started buttons. From here, it'll ask you a few questions about what exactly your website is for. For this example website build, we're going to be in the wedding industry. I want to promote a physical business. Yeah, sell some online courses, get appointments, sell products. Leave it at that for now. Then we are going to choose a designer template, and then you'll be brought to the templates page. Now, this can be very overwhelming, but I'm gonna give you quick instructions on how to do this simply and correctly. So it will automatically show you a number of different templates that it has chosen based off the things you just told it. So right now it's showing me a bunch of wedding related online store scheduling courses templates. But the most important thing for you to know is that it literally does not matter which template you choose. Every single one of them has the exact same features and functionality, and you can change the template in quite literally any way possible to make it look like anything else. So which one you pick is really not something that you need to spend like 27 hours scrolling through this page from the bajillion options, because there are a bajillion options. So I want you to take all of like 45 seconds to find one that you're like, yep, that feels like my vibe and my style, and then go ahead and click on it and go ahead and click start with this design. You can ignore the colors thing. We're going to come to colors and customizing those a little bit later on in the tutorial. So the first thing I want to do on this website is to create a new homepage. Now, how I'll do that is I'll go to the Pages tab and then I'll create a new page. However, please note, these navigation options on the left-hand side, sometimes they change the names of them, sometimes they change the location of them. So the most important thing that you need to know and be directed to is the search bar. If you click on the search bar, if I'm doing something in this course at any point in time and you're like, I can't find that thing, then just go to the search bar, type in whatever that name of the page is that I'm going to, and it will pull up that option for you. So I'm going to go to the Pages tab, and then in the top navigation, I'm going to click the plus button to add a new page. Now I have a number of options, and we're going to go through these different options throughout the course, but for now, we just want to click on page layouts. So what these are here is basically Squarespace has thought about, okay, if you're kind of new to building a website and you don't really know how to like drag things, drop things, which I will show you throughout this course, but regardless, if you want some like, think of it like the bumpers on a bowling lane, that's what these are. So you kind of can't screw them up. It's basically a bunch of pre-done, good-looking layouts that you can use. If you click through, you'll notice they have them for sort of like different layouts that are typical on different pages, like your contact page typically has a form on it, your about page, your services page typically has like multiple different options with buttons. I'm going to go to general and then select the first layout on the left-hand side here and have this as my starting layout for my top section of my homepage. I've simply typed in the word home and then clicked enter to name this specific new page. So now I have a new page on my website. I need content to fill the website with. So I am actually going to pull the content from, I have something called the Client Booking Blueprint, which basically helps aspiring website designers to go ahead and build out a website business. One of the things in there is the mock client briefs so that you could create yourself mock portfolio pieces, basically, with real content. And so I am choosing Lena's content. She has the Ever After Events business, and that's where I'm pulling all the content for this video from. So I'm going to open up her brand photos. Here are all the images for this website design. They look fabulous. They're already pre-curated, which I love. Then we're going to open up her copy. This is the content and words. Copy is just a fancy word for words in the online marketing space. So we have all of the text which needs to go on this website, which is super helpful. And then also, Lena has gone ahead and made me a Pinterest board with all of her sort of like inspiration of websites that she likes. And that is here too. So this is the content I'm going to use for this website build. If you're curious about the Dream Client Booking Blueprint, I'll link it for you below. Basically, it has a bunch of mock portfolio projects that you can go ahead and all the content is done for you, as you can see. So out of the copy document, I'm going to just highlight and copy the text which I want to put onto the page, head back to my Squarespace site, and to edit on this new page here, we're going to click the edit button in the top left-hand corner. Now, as you can see, there is already a text block which has been added to this section. So I can simply click and highlight the text, delete it, the delete key, and paste for my new copy. Now, just design-wise, I don't love how this is looking. I feel like it would be better if I had maybe like a big header font and then this sort of like smaller paragraph font here. I feel like it would be better if this text was mixed between the two. So let's change this up a little bit. I'm going to change that, copy this text, and paste it below. Delete that out, copy this. Just so you know, as I'm doing this, I am just using my keyboard and I'm using it like any other text editor, like any other Google Doc, basically. I feel like this crafting weddings text would look really fabulous if it was all uppercase. I'm just gonna rewrite it. Fabulous. And I would actually like for this big header text, as unique as your love story, to not just be on one line, but to be on multiple lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain the text box to make that happen. So what I'm doing is you'll see around the text, there's this blue box with some little white squares around it. I'm going to click and drag to pull and constrain the box to a smaller space. So now I've pulled it in. Gonna click off, and then as I hover over now, I have a little like hand grabby icon. I'm going to click and drag it to come back to the center. Now the word story is a little bit overlapping with the button, which I don't love. So to move the button, or to move honestly anything, any block on your page, you just again hover over it. When you get the little grabby hand symbol, click and drag, and it's literally that simple. Do one more line down. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Now, as lovely as these mountains are, they have literally nothing to do with weddings, so we clearly need a new background photo. So how do we do that? We are going to go to the edit section in the right-hand corner, and then we're going to go to backgrounds, and then I'm going to delete the automatic demo image that is there, and I'm going to click add an image and upload file. Now, I want an image which is I don't want someone's face because I don't want the text to be covering someone's face. That could be a potential thing that happens. We don't want that. So I want some sort of an image that isn't all too busy. Let's try this one first. Ooh, that looks fabulous. Okay, good. Happy with that. So I'm just gonna click off to save that in its place. I think that looks incredible. Kind of want to add some more visual jazz to this top section. So I'm just going to click into the text area, and I have hit Command I on my keyboard, which is for italicize, or alternatively, you can use in this sort of like toolbar happening up here at the top. You can click, these are all the same things that you would find on, again, something like Word document, Google document. So you can left align, right align, center align, you can put it on some bullet points. You could change the color of the text or a specific word or all of the text. I'm just gonna leave it all white for now. You can change the heading type. We'll get more into this in future sections, but do we want this to be larger text or smaller text or a paragraph font? Okay, and then the next thing that I need to edit on this page is obviously the button text. Is it making a ton of sense for a wedding business right now? So I'm simply going to click on the button and then click on the edit button. And then in the text area, I'm going to delete this out and just write simply services. Now it's made my button smaller. I don't love that. So again, just like constraining the text block from before, you'll notice that there is the blue lines and the little white dots around this, and I'm just going to click and drag to make my button larger. I could also click and drag it to the side if I want to make it a bit more stand out. I'll do something like maybe this wide. Looks nice. Okay, so this top header section looks good. It's 100% just based off of the demo layout, which I had added there. I do want to add a bit more to it though, because it's feeling a little bland and boring to me. So let's go ahead and add a new block to this section. So you can add blocks to sections, like completely blank sections, which I'll show you how to design from a blank section later, or these pre-done layouts as I've done here. So the next thing I want to add is another image. And once I've added the image block, I'm going to click on the plus button and again, upload a file. Going to select an image, and I'll click on the edges and the corners to change up the size of the image. So I would like this image to be a little bit further down on the page and more to the side. And I would actually like for, as I scroll, for this image to sort of come in some fancy way. So let's talk about animations. So you can add animations to a wide variety of types of blocks. We're gonna add an animation to this image. So I'm gonna click on the image, click edit, design, image effect. I do love this film grain image effect. I feel like that could be kind of fun. Let's see, intensity. A bit more so you can really see it. I think that looks nice. And I just want to add one more image kind of overlapping. I think would look really good. So I'm going to go back to add block, image, plus button, upload file, find another fitting image, open. Now I would like both of these images to be vertical. Right now this one is a horizontally shaped image. I'm going to again click and drag with a little hand icon to pull it down. And then I have a few ways of making it vertical. I'm gonna click and drag here and click and drag here. Then I'm gonna go into the image editor, design, and hit fill. So before, fit means that the entire image fits within the blue box around it. If I click on fill, then it fills the blue box, if that makes sense. Now, if I want the rings to be more in focus in this image, I can simply move this little focal point back in the content area, and click off, and actually drag this up a tad. Granted, this image looks a little bit lighter than the other ones. So I'm going to click edit, design, and I'm going to do the same image effect, the film grain, over this one too. And now the image fits more cohesively looks-wise with the others. Now, another thing that you're probably going to come across is you're going to want to change the height of a section. Whether that's you want to make the section longer or you want to make a section shorter. You'll notice as I've added things to this page and dragged them around, it is automatically lengthened the height of this section. So if I want to change that, in the bottom right hand corner of every section, you will see this toggle a few lines and some arrows. It's blue. You can click and drag this to make any section taller or shorter. Now you'll notice I can't drag any further up than this because my image is getting in the way. So if I wanted to make it even shorter, I would need to click and drag this image up one in order to drag that up one, if that makes sense. Now something which is very important, which I have not done yet, is naming my photos for SEO. So search engines will read the title of your picture, and that also gives Google and other like search tools, AI tools, context on what your website is about. So it is very important that you name all of the images on your website. So we are going to go back into an image, click on edit, and then you will see here, alternate file name. That's the automatic name. And clearly that does not tell Google anything about what this website is about. So let's name it something relevant to this business. Going back to Lena's content, I can see that this business is based in Charleston, also serves the surrounding areas of Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, and Savannah, a boutique service all about making your wedding day one of a kind. Fabulous. Okay, so basically the keywords and the most important thing for this business is the terms wedding planning, day of coordination, and then the specific location are going to be important. Also, potentially this specific location, I mean, it's just a photo, it's a stock photo, but let's say it's a real wedding location in Charleston. Then we could also use that location's name. So let's do Rose Hill Wedding Venue, Charleston. Would be an appropriate file name because that is a description of what exactly you are seeing in the image. So I'm just gonna click off and that will save the name. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one here. Alternate file name. Typed in my term and click off the image to save. Let's see if a third image would look good here. I'll just quickly add this. As beautiful as this image is, I actually feel like there's too much happening now in this section and I'm not really loving it. Also how tall it's making this section. So actually I think I want to delete out this image block. So how do we delete something from a page? You click on the item and then you'll find the little trash can icon. You simply click on that and voila, it's gone. That goes for image blocks, text blocks, form blocks, basically anything you can add to the website, same process. Now as I'm going through my website, even though I'm not fully finished with this homepage, obviously it's really only like a fraction done, I do like to save every now and again just so I have everything saved. So if, I don't know, it crashes, which that really doesn't happen, but you know, just makes me feel good. So the way you save something, if you're like, good, I'm ready, I'm happy with that, is you click save in the top left-hand corner. And if you want to edit again, you simply click on the edit button. Now, because content always guides design, let's look at our content document to see what is the next bit that we need to put on this page. We have the what we do section. So let's go back to the website and put that into this next pre-made section. I'm just going to copy and paste in our what we do, go back, select some more text, and paste that in as well. Everything I'm doing now you've seen me do, so I'm going to fast forward through this and you can watch me copy and paste my content from my copy document into the template, swap out the photos, change up the sizes and placements of the items on the page. Okay, so I'm happy with the section design, and what if I want the next section to look the exact same as this one, just basically flipped backwards? You can either rebuild the entire section or you can duplicate the section, which makes things a lot faster. So on the right-hand side of every section, you'll see this editor, edit section, view layouts, hearts, up, down, those sorts of things. You want to click on the duplicate button and it will recreate me the exact same thing below. Now I basically want to flip-flop as I'm scrolling down through the different sections and I list the different services. So what I'm gonna do is just click and drag my image from the one side to the other, and click and drag my text from the one side to the other as well. And I'll paste in my new content. Now that I have two similar section designs, one with the image on the left and then one with the image on the right, if I want the next section to have the image on the left again, I can actually duplicate this top section and then use the arrow button to move it down one so it hops below the other one. And then I have image left, image right, and then again, image left again, which makes it just easier and faster to build. Now, if you want to change up the background color of any section, we can also do that very easily. We're going to head into edit section, colors, and then we will see the pre-done color scheme that comes with this template. Now we can change this and I'll show you in a moment how to do that, so stay tuned. But Let's say, for example, we want it in the dark option. Maybe also this one down here. Again, edit section, colors, dark. And there we have it. Very simple. Now this next section is one that came with my pre-designed layout. I don't really want it / love it. So all I'm gonna do is on any section, I can just click the remove button, delete, and you'll notice that that section disappears, but the ones above and below it stayed. Same thing with this one. Don't actually want that. But I do want something else, so I'm going to add another section, and I want a form block. So I'm going to go to add a section, and then again it opens up the pre-designed layout options that I have. I want a form where people could complete the form, tell me about their wedding date. So I'm going to go to the forms area and see what kind of designs we have here and which one fits really well. I want something quite simplistic, so I feel like actually this works really well. Let's change up the text, save your date. Now, because it came with this pre-done layout, the form block already exists here. If, however, you want to add a form block to any other page, you just simply go to add block and then find the form and click to add it to your page. However, we don't need to, so I'm going to click on the little trash can icon to delete that for now. Now, the details which I want to collect are different from what is the automatic defaults in this form. So I'm going to click on the box and then click on edit and then edit form fields. So from a potential client, I would need definitely their name, definitely their email, definitely their phone number. Will you be attending? Doesn't make any sense though, so let's delete that one and add a field instead. And probably the most important thing, which I'm going to need to know as a wedding planner, is what date their wedding is on, because that would change if I could serve them or not. So let's select the date option and maybe also which of my services they're specifically interested in. So add a field, we can go to the checkboxes and I'm gonna click into the checkbox, add description. Okay, so let's rename this wedding date. Let's make it required. And then we can complete the name of our services in here. So instead of option 1, we are going to put full service wedding planning, and then day of coordination, venue and vendor selection. Oops, I have the wrong Untitled there. Services required, that's good. And on my date field, I need wedding date. Or we can do even more on brand. Here's a special day. Fabulous. So now we have our form. I'm happy with that. Let's hit save. If at any point in time you want to see how your website would look to the people of the internet, the website visitors, you can click this top right-hand corner arrow. It says preview, and then you can see what your website looks like to the outside world, which is looking fabulous. I can click again on the arrow in the top right-hand corner, and that will bring me back to basically my, I can see the website on the right-hand side, and I can see all the editing options around too. Now, I adore this new homepage, but we need to actually make it the homepage now. So how do we do that? In our top left-hand side, again, this is the page which we're working on right now, the one which is highlighted a bit more in gray. I go to the settings icon, and then down here, we're just going to click on Set as Homepage, click Confirm, close this out, and you'll notice that now we have the little home icon right beside my homepage, which indicates that that is the new homepage. Now, moving right along, let's talk about your website styles. So let's say I actually don't love the colors on this website, or I don't love the fonts on the website, or the size of them, or something of that sort. Then the site styles area is where I can change that up. So if you click on the paintbrush icon, we have a number of different options. Let's start with the colors option and change up the default color settings that are in here. I'm going to click on Edit Palette. And I actually like most of the colors in here. I like this brownie green color, I like the beige, I like the black. It's the purple that I feel like doesn't feel on brand in this case. And I have a few ways that I can go ahead and pick my color. If you have had your brand professionally designed, then you can just paste in, your brand designer will give you these things called hex color codes. It's a hashtag followed by a random mixture of 6 letters and numbers that indicate a specific color code. If you don't have that, however, we have another way, which is we can play with this sort of like color toolbar and find something that we like by dragging around in here, kind of like that sagey color. So I played around a little bit with my palette, clicked on the different options up here, and then played around with the color wheel down here to select a bunch of different colors, which I feel like fit very harmoniously together. Now I realized while I did that in 5 seconds, and I made that look maybe very easy, it can be so hard. You know, it can be so hard to pick colors for your website and to pick a whole palette of 5, lots of colors to choose, a whole palette of 5 that look good together. So if you want help with that, I do have another video where I speak specifically about choosing colors for a website. I'll leave that linked for you above and below, because if you're currently having a hard time on colors, you need to go watch that. Okay, so now our colors are good. Let's talk about fonts. Let's go into the fonts section. I'm still in the site styles, which again is under the paintbrush icon. So my heading font right now is Play Fair Display, and I quite like that, so I think I'm gonna leave that. And then my paragraph font is Rubik. It's feeling a little not wedding-y enough for me, not modern enough for me for this brand specifically that Lena has. So let's click on the font name of the font I currently have in my template and scroll through to find a good looking one. Now as you scroll, you will see there are also 27 bajillion million fonts in this list. This is a long list of fonts, so spending your time scrolling through them can be very time consuming. However, you don't need to do that. One thing which I always like to do is to make sure that the fonts that I'm using on my website are also possible to be used on Canva. So Canva is a like graphic design software. It's like Photoshop, but way easier and way better. And I like my branding to be consistent across my website and all the like graphics which I make for social media and slide presentations and all of those things. So what I put together for you, this took me a long time to create, is a complete list of all of the fonts that exist both in Squarespace and in Canva. That is useful for 2 reasons. 1, your branding is going to be consistent if you just choose from any of those number of fonts. And 2, it just takes this list of 27 bajillion fonts and minimizes it down so you're picking between a much more reasonable number of fonts, which actually I think makes your life easier. If you go to my website, paigebrenton.com/fonts, that is where you can get the complete guide to Canva and Squarespace font pairings. When you pop in your name and email, you will receive the font guide to your email, and it looks like so. And here we have the giant long list of fonts that are in both Canva and Squarespace, which again makes your life so much easier. So let's find one that I feel like fits quite well. Okay, I quite like the look of the Mully font, so let's head over to Squarespace, type that in and select it, and you'll notice just there, this little bit of text on the page, including also my top navigation titles, they just changed. Let me show you that again. So this was the old one. This is the new one. That is the Mully font. I'm happy with that. That looks fabulous. So let's head back. And the one thing I want to change with my headings is I would like for my heading font to be a bit larger, a bit more standout for my heading 1. So in my heading font, so I'm going to click into my heading font. That is this one right here. So we have paragraph font, and then heading font. I am going to take my heading 1 and increase the size so it is mega. Okay, but once I've made that font bigger in Site Styles, this section's looking a little off, so I just need to go on Edit, change this up a little bit. I'm going to drag this image up, and this section. Shorten it a bit. Good. Save. Now the other thing which you might want to do in your Site Styles panel is change up the look of your buttons. So you'll notice we have fonts, we have colors, and then we have buttons. So let's click into buttons and all button packs. And we can see that Squarespace has already pre-put together for us a number of different like button looks, which we can select and choose from. So you automatically get 3 buttons on every Squarespace website, a primary, secondary, and tertiary button type. So I need to go ahead and select the button package, which I feel like I like best. Which, to be honest, I'm a classic person. Let's go for something, nothing too wild. I like this button pack. So my primary button is a filled in button. So there's a background fill color. Secondary button is just an outline, and then the tertiary button just has a line underneath, and I feel like I like that quite a bit. So we're gonna go with that button pack type because the primary button is filled in, and then on this homepage here, this button is filled in. This is clearly a primary button type. I can go ahead, I'll show you how you would see. In here, if I click on button, you notice it says primary. If I selected secondary, then you'll notice it becomes the outline button type because the secondary button type in my site styles was the outline type. So hopefully that makes sense. I actually like I think I like that one better. So we're gonna leave it as secondary. Okay, so this website is shaping up beautifully, but what we don't like is the your site title is not really on brand or looks very good. So let's change our logo. I'm going to head into the editor, click on edit site header, and then site title and logo and the little pencil icon. And then the first thing we can do is put in the name of our business. Ever After Events. No matter what, put in the name of your business here in the site title because SEO. However, if you have a logo designed already, then you can click here and upload file and then select your whatever your logo image is. Ideally as a PNG file with a transparent background. That would be my suggestion. But Lena does not have a logo and she just wants a basic Wordmark logo. Now, what is a Wordmark logo? It is basically, think of like Chanel, Dior. It's just their brand name written out as text that looks good. That's a Wordmark logo. There's no like, you know, the Starbucks mermaid thing? That is not a Wordmark logo. The mermaid is a graphic, and so that's like a graphical logo. Because Lena doesn't have a logo of any sort, and I want to get her something good and quick to get started with on her website, we're just going to type in her brand name here, and then we're going to go into the site styles editor again, and then we can just change up the font that is being used here. So then we have basically created a Wordmark logo within Squarespace very easily and simply. So inside of fonts, I'm going to assign styles, then to site title, and then right now it is automatically pulling my heading font type, which is the As Unique as Your Love Story font type, and it is also pulling it into the site title. However, I want it to be different. I don't want it to be the same because a logo text typically is different than the text on the rest of your website actually. So we're gonna go to custom, and then again, I'm going to get a giant long list of a million types of fonts, and I can go through and find one which I like, which again, I actually want something that also works on Canva. So let's go into here to see which kind of font might be good. Okay, so I quite like this Grupo font. However, I don't love the lowercase aspect of it right now. So let's go to text transform and then uppercase. I feel like that looks pretty snazzy. Letter spacing, good. Size, I actually want it to be a bit smaller. That feels good to me. So now, as you can see, there are a wide number of options that you have with every single font on your website. You can change the size, you can change the height between that line and the next line, you can change the amount of space between all of the letters. Some of them have italicized versions or bold versions. This specific font doesn't. There is weights and different things that you can choose depending on the font that you have selected. I feel like I'm quite happy with that. And there we have, in about 15 seconds, a Wordmark logo. Very simple. Now, while we are up here in the header, let's talk about some different options that you have in your header. So I'm going to go to Edit Design, and we can see the first option that we have is the layout of the header. So let's say, for example, you want the logo, and then you want the navigation options in the middle of the page. That's an option. And then we could do that later, add a button, which would then, as you can see here, it shows like logo, and then these little like rectangles that indicates like the navigation options, and then the big rectangle indicates a button. So you can go ahead and change up. Ooh, that kind of looks good. Ooh, I like that. We're gonna go with that one for now. So you can scroll through here and figure out which layout and organization of your header options you like best. You'll notice that right now there is no button on this website for the top navigation, so it's not appearing even though it is in this layout, if that makes sense. But if I would add a button to this, then it would appear in the top right hand corner. A border basically adds a line in between. I'm fine with that. Fixed position is as you scroll down the page, it will hold its place as you scroll. I'll show you that. So you notice there, as I scroll down the page, I can always see the top navigation. If you have a large logo, I would not do that, just so you know, because you're gonna take up half your page with your header, basically, which can cover the rest of the page and it's just not good. But it depends on how big your top navigation is as to if that makes sense or not. And you can also change up how large or small your header is. I'm going to put it back to roughly what it was before. Now you might be wondering, okay, liking my header, but actually I want to change the order of things in the header. So say I want inquire to be last and about to be second. How do I change the order of these navigation options? That is actually back over here. So in your editor on the left-hand side, you will notice these options here going from top down are what you have up here from left to right on the page. So if I want about to be second, I just click and drag about. And yes, from the way I say about, you might have realized I'm Canadian. People always say that in my videos. When I say out and about, that's when you get me. Anyways, yeah, so just click and drag, and that is how you reorder the items in your top navigation. Okay, now going all the way from the top of our page to the very bottom of our page, let's talk about your website footer. I'm gonna again go to Edit, scroll to the very bottom, and click on Edit Site Footer. This text looks lovely. That has nothing to do with my business, so we are going to delete you as pretty as you are. Or you know what, actually, let's put it back. We could change this to inquire. That would be fabulous, wouldn't it? And then I just need to move these so they're not overlapping. Click and drag, click and drag. Let's show you how to turn a piece of text, any text on your website, into a link. So we're going to highlight my text. That opens up our little like text bar editor jobby. Click on the item that looks like a link, and you can either link this to a page on your website that exists already, or a page outside of your website. Say you had say you want to link over to another website or something. Then you do that. So you would just basically type in the link of whatever you want to send it to, www.instagram.com, whatever. However, I want to link this to our inquire page. The inquire page already exists, so I'm just going to select this, and therefore anytime someone clicks on this ginormous inquire button, it will take them to the inquiry page, which makes a lot of sense. Again, these are too high up, they're overlapping. And the Made with Squarespace, we do love Squarespace. We really do, but I don't really want to give them free advertising on my website as much as I like them. So we're also going to delete the little Made with Squarespace thing. You don't need to be on a certain plan to do that. You can delete it off of any website plan. I think some other website builders like make you have the thing there, but Squarespace doesn't make you do that, which is nice. Okay, now let's think about some other common things that you might want in your footer. Something else that you might want down here is maybe your privacy policy and your terms and conditions, which link over to those relevant pages. You might want some links to the other pages on your website. You might want, especially if you're a location-specific business, you would want your address of said business in the footer. So let's add a few different bits and pieces to this footer, and we will drag and drop items to see where they, I don't know, visually fit the best. So now, because I have an inquire, ginormous inquire, I don't need another inquire down here, so we can change this one. Also, the word work doesn't really make a ton of sense for this business. We're gonna do services, whoops, and link to our services page. It's currently called work, but it will be services when I get around to it. Inquire, we don't really need, what was the other one, top navigation? But work inquire. Oh, I need to change the name of work up there. About, that's what. Maybe we can have FAQ. Link it to any random page right now, and I'll come back and fix it later. I haven't created the FAQ page yet, so I can't link the FAQ page if it doesn't already exist, if that makes sense. So that will be a fixing later job. Good. Now let's also add in our location. Adding a text block, I'm going to drag it down here. I want to make my footer taller, so I'm going to click and drag, just like the same as a section. Click and drag this little jobby on the right hand side and pull it down to make your section taller. I'm gonna move Instagram for the time being. Where should we put you? Let's put you down here. And we can put our address, which, let me go back to our content, see if we have an address in here. Here, we have some contact details. This would be perfect. Back here. There we are. So instead, I don't love the bullet point vibe happening here. And center align all of that. That looks really nice. Instagram there, how professional, lovely. Okay, good. That looks Fabulous. So editing your footer is basically the same as editing any other section on your website. You just click edit into that specific section, your footer, and you play around with it the same way that you do any other section. You add on blocks, you can delete blocks, you can link things, you can add photos, you can add maps, you could add anything here. You could add form here. Again, you would just go to the add block option and find the block type that you want. Pop it onto the page, drag it around. You can use, again, the little blue bits to sort of like resize and change up things. That also works. The key difference of your footer versus the other sections on your website is that the footer is consistent across every single page of your website, unless you specifically choose in a page's settings to hide the footer or hide the header. You can do both. This will exist on every page of your website. Now, as I mentioned before, I didn't love the term work because it just doesn't feel very on brand for this business. So I changed it down in the footer. I also want to change it up in the top navigation. So to do so, you will notice I have work in the top navigation here. That is because this page here is called work. So I'm going to go into the settings of the page. I'm going to rename it services, navigation title, services, URL slug, services. A URL slug, by the way, is, so it would be like yourwebsite.com / whatever it says here. So about, contact, services, whatever. You can also get very SEO strategic with your URL slugs as well. You could, for example, do wedding planning - services. Could be a thing you do, or just leave it as services. Whatever tickles your fancy. Go ahead and click save. Oh, URL's already in use. Choose another. Okay, we're gonna go for services, save. Don't know which page. There's some sort of demo page which is already in this template, which has / services. So if I was adamant that this had to be / services, I would need to go find the other page that is / services in the template, delete it or change the URL slug, and then I can go back to here and change it in here. Okay, so we have our homepage complete. It is a basic design, but this is a beginner's tutorial, so I feel like that's appropriate. If you really want to dig deep into the Squarespace website design absolute rabbit hole, I do have another course. It's called Square Secrets. It is over 12 hours long, so there is a lot to learn, as you can tell. But anyways, for now, I'm happy with this design. I feel like it looks lovely. If you want to get into the really complex design things, however, I will link Square Secrets for you below too. You're gonna have a lot of links below. Okay, next page I want to make is our services page. So these pages, the home page and the sections, we've mostly just made from these like pre-done layout options that Squarespace has. But for the services page, I want to start building from scratch just from a blank page to show you that option too. So I'm going to click over to services. And now this is just demo content from the original template, which I'm going to click edit and then delete this entire section. Remove. And I'm going to add a new section and I'm going to click add a blank section. So far, we've just been going from these like pre-done layouts, but we're going to go here instead. So let's go back to my copy document and see what content we need to go on here. I like in this inspiration website, again, all of this content came from my client booking blueprint and the demo mock portfolio piece of Lena. And this was one of the websites which Lena had pinned as inspiration for her website. And I really like how you see the portfolio is in the green and then it goes down to the next section, which is white. I think that just looks very nice. So I'd like to create something similar on our services page here. So let's go back to our website and we are going to edit this section, go to colors, and we're going to change it to some sort of color. Brown. Let's try the brown, see what happens. Then we're going to add a block. We're going to add a text block and I'm going to paste in my text. Tailored wedding planning. Copy it from my copy document, paste it into my text block. And then let's put it, edit section. Okay, so I'm going to put my piece of text towards the middle and the bottom of this section. However, you'll notice that there is even though I can change this height to here, there's still quite a bit of space between actually the bottom of this like grid. This is the fluid engine grid and the actual bottom of the section. And I want to change that because I want this text to go right up against the bottom of the section. So I'm going to go into the edit section area. This is one of the fancier hacks. I'm going to go to height and here I can choose how much space is between that like grid and then the actual edge of the section. So I'm going to go for that. Click off to save. I'm going to change this text to be maybe something different. Widen it out a bit. Put it in the middle. Center align my text. Then this box now is creating a lot of space, which I don't want. So I'm gonna, again, drag this to the bottom. So I'm changing the box which the words are constrained within. And then you'll notice here, I've aligned vertically up. I want it aligned vertically down. I might need to do this in a different way. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, you know what? To get it to sit right on that, it would require me doing a different hack, which would go beyond beginner basics. So we're actually just gonna be okay with it like that. We'll change up our design slightly because that would be getting a little too off-piste for this tutorial. That's okay. Let's add another blank section just with the beige background, and do the for every couple on the other side, which could be kind of fun. Paste in my content, drag it to the middle, center align the text so it matches, change it to the same heading type as what was up there. I don't know if I've showed you this yet, actually. Let me reverse real quick. So you'll notice I am changing. So the text before was a paragraph heading text, settings of which we changed to insight styles. If you want this to be, however, so we have font was Mully or something, is our paragraph text font, and then Playfair Display is our heading text font. So all of your headings are in the same Playfair Display and all of your paragraph text are in the same whatever you chose. In order to change from like this type of font to the other Playfair Display type font, I can just click and change the heading type. Now, each heading type also in Site Styles, I have changed like the size of it, or maybe if it's italicized or not, or whatever. I changed that all in Site Styles, and then I can just select here. So say I just selected heading type 3, this is heading type 2, this is heading type 3, so it's slightly smaller. Let's do the same thing we did before, where we're going to edit section, and then basically eliminating the space. Okay, tailor planning for every couple. No, I think I want it to be the same size. So let's also change you to heading 2. And I don't want you to wrap, so we're going to expand this box. That is good. Okay, fun. I will go back to my copy this bit of text, also add it to the page. If I wanted it to just continue down from this piece of text and say be like center aligned, I could just continue pasting into this text block. However, I want it to be sort of in a different location on the page, so I'm going to add a second text block to this blank space, paste in the copy, and I'm gonna put it down here. Looks interesting. Let's maybe add an image, could look good on this section. Oops, actually I put it in the wrong one. So sorry, what I did there was I added the image, but I accidentally added it to this brown section, and I need to add it to the beige section. So let me just add that image again. Let's drag it around and see where it looks good. Other block, which I really quite like, we'll see, I'll add it and see what it looks like, is the line block, which sounds basic, and it is basic, but you can do some really pretty things with it. That looks kind of fun. We'll leave that. Should we have it go behind her image? There we go, I like that. Okay, so what I just did there is you can, when you have multiple blocks overlapping each other, you can use the move forward, move backward toggles to change which order the things are in. So that now my line block is going directly up to and behind my image, which I think looks kind of fun. Okay, that's good. What's our next piece of text? Full service wedding planning. Add some more. Copy. So as I'm building this page, I don't have a honestly specific idea of how I'm gonna lay this content out. What I basically do if I'm just feeling creative and want to do something different is I just take my copy and my content, I drop it onto the page, and then I play around with the layouts and just kind of like see how it feels. It's kind of a gut feeling thing that you develop over time as a website designer as to what looks good and also what is like a strategic layout and everything. The ability to do this just comes with time, a lot of education, and a lot of experience. So if you're feeling like, I don't know if I can be doing this right now, don't worry. I mean, you can always try it, play around with it, have fun with it. Literally, that's how, again, I started and I learned. I do not have an official background or degree in website design or marketing or anything of the sort. I have a degree in recreation and leisure, and yes, that's a thing you can have a master's in. But over time and experience and a bit of education, you will be able to do these things yourself too. I am completely self-taught in website design, and I have now gone on to teach quite literally thousands of students how to do this as well through my online course, Square Secrets. Now, however, if this is feeling too much for you, you can always again just stick to the pre-made layouts, which we built the homepage with. That is also a really fantastic place to start, and if you are a beginner to website design, then that is, again, kind of the like bowling bumpers version of website design. You can't really mess it up in that case. As I'm building this page, I'm realizing that I think maybe the font of the inquire button is maybe not what I want it to be. Let me go into secondary button. Ah yes, we have a different font type here. That is not what I want. Let's make it the same as my paragraph font. Lovely. There we go. That looks more consistent with the branding. Okay, I am most of the way down my services page. On desktop, it's looking good, but how does it look on mobile? This, I will show you the mobile editor. If you go to, you'll notice this entire time we've been in desktop view. If we toggle this over to mobile view, things change a little bit. Actually, oh yeah, no, they're definitely out of order here. Okay, so what happens is Squarespace takes all your content that you put onto desktop and it tries its best to put it in the right places in mobile, but it's not always, often not 100% correct. So basically every single page you build, you want to then go to the mobile editor and check, does anything here need to be fixed or tweaked? So it definitely does. So we're going to go to edit. And then the first thing we need to fix is Wordmark logo is looking not like the original. So let's go in here. It's going to be in my site styles. So basically what I want to do is I want to change the font here because it's clearly different than on my desktop, which is what I intentionally chose. Sign styles. So we have site title, which is the custom thing which I set before, which we chose Grupo in uppercase for that, and now I want to assign the same thing to the mobile site title. So this is the mobile version of the website, and this is the site title. So right now it's automatically inheriting the heading type, so that is my Play Fair Display font, which I don't want. I want the Grupo font. You can see you have a short list here of in-use fonts, so I can easily find that one. Good. Text transform, I want it also to be uppercase, but I definitely do not want it to be that big. Here we are. Size is heading 1. I don't want it to be that big. That is much more like it. Okay, size is relative to paragraph 2. Great. I'm just gonna go back. Okay, so we've fixed our logo on mobile. Let's get to the rest of the content of the page. So this is looking a bit squished up here. So let's drag this. So same as on desktop, how you find as you hover over a section, this little blue bit with the double arrow on it. You can click and drag to expand a section. So we're going to expand the section. Then we're going to do roughly the same design that we did before, where we're just taking our text and putting it towards the bottom of the section. And then this one is already at the top of the section, so that's good. Our full service wedding planning, section 1, service 1, that came in quite well. I just want to bring it down a little bit. I want to add more spacing between these things because it's feeling, oh yeah, and this needs to go up top. Okay. So what I'm going to do is come to the bottom of the section and add a whole bunch of rows because I can tell that I'm going to need them because everything is way too crunched. I'm going to pull down, okay, so what I just did there is I'm clicking and dragging on my mouse over a whole bunch of different blocks, which then will highlight and select all of those blocks, and then you can click and move them as one giant group as opposed to having to drag. This is a text block, a line block, a text block, a button block. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 different blocks. So obviously doing it as a group is faster. So I've selected them all, drag them down, keep dragging, whoops. Drag down to the very bottom for now. I'll drag the next section, so day 2, day of coordination. So these have clearly dropped in slightly out of order. I'll fix that later. But for now, I just want to bring everything down. So I have space to design up top. This needs to go up to the top. This needs to come down. View down. And this one as well. Let's come down here. And this we are going to drag up above and take it over this one. Okay. And I want more space between these two. I think this is going to be too much text to have it side by side. I think that's going to look not great. So I'm actually going to leave that and just change up how this is. Maybe we'll go. So the line block right now is over top of the girl, which I want it to be the other way around. So I'm going to put it behind. And I also want it to kind of like disappear behind her. So we're just going to take the constraining bits, the little blue outline, and pull it in. I think that's looks nicer. And you know what? I might even constrain this text a bit too. We kind of have the same feeling as good. I just want the image to align with the text because this annoys my OCD. Maybe it annoys yours too. So I'm going to constrain this image into smaller space. And now when I drop it, it will automatically snap to the grid, which then aligns the image with the text below it, which makes my heart feel happy. Okay, good, good, good. That looks good. Okay, I have full service wedding planning. Great. Now I need to swap 2 and 3. For some reason, when they came into mobile, they got mixed up. So I'm gonna pull this up. Good. Okay, so that's 2, and now 3 is too close to 2. The other thing which I like to do is to count the number of, see, there's the grid behind. So I can see below the acquire button and above the day of coordination, there's 1, 2, 3 grid blocks there. In order to see the grid blocks, you just have to click and kind of slightly move any item and then the grid will appear behind. So that's good. So I basically want to check, does this have the same number in between? No, that. So that's 4 grid blocks. So if I want it to be consistent, sometimes in design, like you want it to be inconsistent because it looks good. Other times you do want it to be routine or in grid layout or evenly spaced. I'm gonna bring this up. And again, let's count 3 grid rows and pop it there. And then I can drag the bottom of my section up because I don't need that much space between there and the footer. So that looks lovely. Okay, so we're gonna hit save and then exit, and I'll put it into full screen mode so you can see this is the finished mobile version of this desktop services page design. Okay, so another very common thing to add to a website, and a very intelligent thing to add to a website, if you're about to do this, you are a smart cookie, is an email marketing opt-in subscribe section. And so I think we'll add that to the homepage of this design. So let's go ahead. I actually really like this header design, and I think we could use, honestly, like the same design idea to make our email opt-in subscribe area. So let's show you how you can do that. We're going to duplicate this design, and then I'm going to move it all the way to the very bottom of this page by clicking on the down arrows. So it goes below all of the other bits. There, there, there. I want it below the inquire. Okay, we have it here. Let's think. What enticing item could Lena give away? Okay, now obviously I need to change the image because I don't want to have the same image twice. So I'm calling it the Charleston's Handpicked Vendor Guide. I want to change the background image. So we're gonna go into edit and then background and then delete out the current one that's there. Upload what looks vendory. This image looks lovely, but it is a little bit difficult to read the text. So there's many ways we could solve this problem. I'm gonna go to background, overlay, opacity. Opacity. This is what I want. So right now, as you can see, this section has the darkest color option. And so when I go to this little guy down here, the overlay, it is basically taking whatever that color is, and it is overlaying it over top, semi-transparent. And so you can increase or decrease how intense that is. I'm gonna make it pretty intense, and let's try some other colors and see if we like. Brown, beige. Ooh, oh, that's quite moody. Oh, you know, I kind of like that. Okay, let's just make it a little bit lighter though. That's quite intense. Okay, I like that. So I've put an overlay over top, chosen the color background of this section. That's good, that's good. Let's just change up these images because we don't want to use the same images again, like on the same page. That would be a bit much. Now, if you're still with me here, I can tell that seems to be that you're enjoying and liking the video, which, you know, what really helps the channel is when you show that love and liking of the video by actually liking the video on YouTube. There's a little like button below the video. If you do tap that, it greatly, greatly helps the channel, and I really, really appreciate it. You've just become the favorite person in my book for the day. And also, while you're there, the subscribe button is very close to the like button, so it can also be a great thing to hit too in case you fancy some more web design education. And I know when I say that, you think, oh, well, someone else will like the video, someone else will subscribe to the channel. No, I seriously mean you watching this video. That's what I mean. Be sure to do it. Okay, so on the top section, we had our film grain animation or effect, and this time I'm gonna do the parallax. So parallax means as you scroll, the items within the image are sort of like ever so slightly moving. So as you can see, as I scroll up and down, you can see the girl moving in the image. To be honest, I don't feel like this image fits though, so I'm gonna actually change the image. But I do like the parallax. I feel like it's a bit too much. Just playing with the settings on the parallax to see how much it is. I feel like it's a little too intense for me right now. That feels better. And we're gonna do it to this image as well. Just very slight, so it's not too much. Okay, and then again, because this is an email opt-in section, I've just been designing the whole look of it, but let's actually get the email opt-in option in here. Right now we have a button, because this is a duplicate of our original hero header section. We're gonna delete that out and instead add a block. And you're gonna look for it in the list or type it in. We want the newsletter block. So let's drag and drop that here. And you can tell there's a lot of jazz happening, which I don't want. So let's edit this. Click on the edit button. And I don't really want to have I'm going to put subscribe on the actual button itself, so then it would be kind of redundant here. So I'm just going to delete this. And also, I feel like I want this like short, sweet, to the point. When it comes to websites, everything, you want short, sweet, to the point. So Charleston's handpicked vendor guide, I feel like is honestly enough of context and information. So I feel like I don't need this. So that's good. We respect your privacy. We do, but we're not going to say that just because it takes up space. Show name field. Yes, I would like their name, so that's good. Sign up text is, should we do subscribe? Download? Let's do download. And then on the design front, do you want it center lined? Okay, that all looks great. The final piece of this puzzle is the storage option. Squarespace has its own email marketing system, and if you are in the beginner to medium proficiency category of email marketing, then I would say that what Squarespace has is absolutely thorough, sufficient, and it is beautifully designed. And just like really easy because it's all integrated into your website, and so I do actually really like it for certain people. I will personally tell you that I do not use Squarespace's email marketing system. I know, shock horror. I do some pretty complex email marketing things in my business, so that is that. Also, I started my email list before Squarespace even had email marketing, but they do now, which is very handy. So anyways, your first option is just to use the Squarespace email marketing system. That is option one. That is right here. You can have it send a confirmation email after they were to opt in, which is great because then you can like send them something. So you can turn on confirmation email, which in this case, because you want to send them a guide, they're not just subscribing for nothing, they're subscribing for a certain thing. We would turn on the send confirmation email. We could click on edit, confirmation email, save continue, and then we open Squarespace email campaigns. Now I want you to hold tight. We're going to get more to Squarespace email campaigns later on in the video, but that just gives you an idea of like what it looks like inside of Squarespace email campaigns. Very pretty, very easy to use. It's fabulous. So coming back to where I was though. So again, that is option one, Squarespace email campaigns. There are a few other options that you should just be aware of. Other storage options. You could connect this to your Google Drive. If you click this, it will connect to your Google Drive, and then all of the people who put in their name and email in here, it would create a Google Sheet in your Google Drive, and it would just like make a giant long list of them. So if you're not like ready to marry a email marketing platform right now, then that could be a good option, just to be like collecting the names and emails. Zapier, which is basically the thing that connects all the different softwares of the internet together, and then MailChimp is another option. I will say that I use none of these 3 options actually. I use kit.com. I'll also put a affiliate link to them below. They have my heart, as does the founder who started the company. I feel like Nathan is a solid human and I love his podcast, but anyways, that's completely besides the point. So if you want to add on other email marketing softwares to Squarespace, like kit.com, for example, you can. You wouldn't use the newsletter block. You would basically, and this sounds complicated, and this is why I'm saying, like, if you're a beginner, just stick with this. Makes it easy. If you want to do something more complex like I do, I create my email opt-in forms inside of my kit.com, and then I simply add a code block to this area of the website, and then I would paste in the code and it would automatically work and function. It sounds overwhelming and complicated if you're new to these things. It's actually not difficult, but whatever. So that's kind of an overview of your email marketing options. I won't get too deep down that rabbit hole because that's not necessarily what this video is about. Okay, coming back to email marketing, I'm just gonna show you where it is if you want to get to it in the future. So back in the main navigation, we can click on email campaigns. And then this brings us to all of the options that you have for sending emails. So a promotion is promoting a product, service, or event. A newsletter is like your regular weekly, monthly, or whenever you get around to sending it, newsletter. Discount, that includes a discount code, connects up really well with Squarespace e-commerce. A welcome email, so this is, again, say someone opts into your form and then you want to send them a specific email. You'll notice these ones up top, these are just like you can send them sort of like one-off. These ones are automations. So like when they opt in to this form, then send them this welcome email with, say, your opt-in gift, your Charleston's vendor guide included, for example. Or when they submit this certain form, then send them this email. Or when they make a purchase through Squarespace e-commerce, then send them this thank you email. All those things are possible in Squarespace email campaigns. Now, if you want to see your subscribers, however, they are not in here, they are somewhere else. They were in contacts. Now, this looks very non-interesting for the time being because I don't have a single subscriber on this website, this brand new website. So what you can do is, as people go to your website and they find your website and then they opt into your thing, you will find a list of actual like people, name, email in here. The other thing is, if you have email subscribers from elsewhere, you can import a giant list of them. You can add them individually. You can add a promo pop-up to your website, which then is kind of like, we could do that Charleston's vendor guide, but popped up. So as you're scrolling through a page, a pop-up comes up, you know what a pop-up is. And they can pop in their name and email there, or again, a sign-up form, which is what we just added to the other page. You can also organize your fancy dancy new subscribers in here by creating different like mailing lists. It will also automatically organize your people into certain lists. So say customers, potential customers, new customers, first-time customers, repeat customers, or just people who subscribed, people who use your Acuity scheduling, which we will talk about in a moment. So yeah, there's many different potential ways that you can organize your people within your website. And then, of course, you can just send certain emails to certain segments. So, for example, if you wanted to send anyone who is a repeat customer a kind of like, here's a thank you code for buying from us, 25% off your next purchase or whatever, you can do that by choosing just to send an email to your repeat customers. But you might be wondering, how do I get people to even come to my website and see my email opt-in area? A great way to do that is with a blog and blog content. So let's talk about starting a blog page. Gonna click the plus button and then come down in the Pages tab in my top navigation. I'm going to add a collection called a blog type. And from here, I need to choose what the layout of my blog is going to look like. Personally, I'm feeling this classic grid. Let's name it blog. Let's delete out all the currently existing blog posts and then we're just gonna create new ones so it looks all clean and cohesive. So over in the list, the blog overview, I'm going to click the 3 dots beside a blog post and hit delete on all of them. And then we are going to create a new post. The OCD in me needs to get rid of these. Okay, good, lovely. So to make a new post, you click on the plus button and then enter a post title. kind of a fun, intriguing topic. What your wedding cake filling says about you. The intrigue. Okay, then, so I've just added that in the title section. Just clicked and typed it in. And then from here, we get into the content and the meat and potatoes of the actual blog post itself. So I'm going to just have ChatGPT real quick write me a blog post so I can fill in the content, just so then I can show you how to actually design and drop things and everything into here. So give me 2 seconds. Okay, ChatGPT has ever so kindly written me my entire blog post now. I will just say, doing that for the demonstration of this video, wouldn't actually recommend you create your content in that way. Google doesn't love that. And also, I mean, this is not a very useful blog post. I wouldn't. Regardless, we can put the judgment aside. Google does take into account AI produced content when figuring out their rankings. So that is only for the demonstration purposes of making this tutorial, but not actually something I would do normally. Okay, now we have our content. Let's style this a little bit, make it look a bit nicer. It's just like a ginormous block of text. Which it is organized into like headings and everything, and I will say best practices for blogging, make sure it's organized into headings. It's something like bullet points or like boldings and everything can make things stand out, which is really great. So that is all very useful to do. The other things which I like to do is to add some sort of a image to the post. So at least somewhere in the post. So again, it kind of like breaks up large bits of content. So let's go to an insert point. That is one of these little, as you hover around the page, you'll see these little like blue lines with plus buttons that show up. We can click to add an image, for example. Go for this guy. This image is vertical, and to be honest, it's going to take up an absolute ton of space, so I don't want it to be quite this tall. So I have a few options. I can crop the image. I can put some images side by side, which would make this smaller. Those are both good options. I think I'm just gonna go for the cropping in this option, or in this situation. So I'm gonna click on edit and edit again, and then go to the crop. I'm gonna do something like so, and click save. Very easy, very simplistic. Now we have an image, but it's not taking up quite so much space in the post. Okay, great. Now, if you know your way around Squarespace, then you know that you can add literally anything to this blog post. You can add all of the different block types. So when I click the plus button, you can see all the different block types. We have a newsletter block. So if you want to collect people's email addresses, you have a line block. If you want to add some like decorative touch, you have a map. You have an entire gallery, you have a form people could fill out, buttons if you want to have a specific call to action somewhere. So all of these things can be added, just as I've added a text block and an image block. You can also drop in the other different types of blocks there too. I'm gonna save this and exit. I want to go to the settings of this specific post. So what I really want is a thumbnail or featured image for this blog post. So let's go ahead. We can add the same image that we used earlier, would be appropriate. And so in just 1 second, you will see where this image shows up and why it's so important. Basically on your blog list page, the page that lists out all your different blog posts and everything, this image pulls into there. The next option we have is to add an excerpt to our blog. This is a little snippet of text which will show up on the blog overview page with the listing of all of our different blog posts, if we choose to show it. So basically it should be a little tester and teaser for your actual blog post. So let's just save and I can show you that. I go to the blog overview page. Oh, sorry, I need to publish this first to make that happen. Settings, good, options, status, currently in a draft. There's a few different ways that you can publish this. So one is in the settings, you can go from draft to scheduled. I love to schedule my blog posts because I'm not going to sit at my computer at the exact minute I want to go live. And I also I produce all of my content ahead of time. So scheduling is an option that you can do. You can choose the day and time that you want to go live, or you can just set it to publish right away, which in this specific situation, I will actually do. So I'm going to close that. Now, when I go to my blog page, you will see the blog is live there. So what we have automatically pulled in. So this is a grid. As I add more posts, you will see more posts fill this. Right now we just have one post, so that's how it looks. So we have our title is there. Then we have our thumbnail image, which we uploaded in the settings of the blog post. And then we have the read more link, which if we click on that, will actually open up the entire blog post. Let me add a few more posts to this blog, and then we can go ahead and restyle and check out the blog overview page. And if we want to make it look a little bit different, but it's going to be a lot easier to see once I add content. Okay, I've loaded up some content. Let's talk about how you can change and adjust the look and layout of this sort of blog layout. The first thing you can do on your blog overview page is to add a section above or below the actual meat and potatoes content and posts and bring attention to something. Whether you want that to be the categories of your blog or you want it to be an opt-in section, doesn't really matter. We can add a section above. Let's add maybe, I'm gonna add a blank section and then just simply put like the titles of the different categories on this blog. Add some text. Put the title of the page. And then you can just add a very short and sweet line with the 3 different categories. Let's say. Also going to add in a line block, just to add a little visual interest. And what we can do here is we can link these bits of text to the different categories that our blog posts are going to fall under. So, for example, first I need to add a blog category to a blog post, and then I can link these bits of text to that blog category. So 1 second, let's hit save, and go back into the settings of one of the blog posts, and options. I have categories as an option. Let me see, what were my different categories? I think one was love stories. So I've just typed it in, hit enter, and then checked the box. So now this blog post is categorized as love stories. And the other one we have is wedding day tips. So let's go to settings on another blog post, options, categories, wedding day tips, and enter, and check, and save. Okay, now if I go back to blog and then hit edit, I can highlight this text and link it to that category. So when I click into the link option and scroll down to blog categories, then I have love stories. I'm just gonna click off and that will save it and underline. Now I can underline wedding day tips and link that. Again, click in here, scroll right at the bottom, and we will see wedding day tips. And then, haven't created it yet. I'm gonna create that real quick, otherwise the underlines are gonna look off, and that's going to upset me. Okay, something felt misaligned, I wasn't sure what it was. It was the blog needed to be centered, aligned in the text block. Okay, so this is one option for a way that you can customize a blog page, is by adding sections above or below the meat of the content. You can also do it the same, again, below the content. I often, if you look at my blog, have a lot of like opt-in gifts mentioned above and below. I also have a section at the top where there's like categories of the different things on my blog. So that is the first way you can customize things. Then the other thing that we can do is we can go in and edit the section of posts itself. So I'm gonna click on that. And you will notice at the very beginning, we chose originally like the blog layout, but I can actually change it. So whatever I picked, I wasn't married to it necessarily, which is funny because this is a wedding website. So this is another option, side-by-side blog layout. The masonry blog. Basically the thumbnail images are not cropped to a specific ratio, and then everything just sort of comes like one after the next, based off however those thumbnail images are cropped. Single blog column, I feel like this takes up quite a bit of space if you have like a tall image, but up to you. Or we also have the alternating side-by-side, sort of flipping with each blog post. You can make every single image cropped to a certain ratio. So let's say, for example, I want like widescreen images for each blog post. I can do that. I can change the size of said images. Can change the spacing between the image and the actual text. And as you can see, as I scroll through these categories, there's a wide variety of different, honestly, there's a million settings. I would encourage you to come in here and just like play around with the settings, and then you can see what is what. But those are just some quick ideas on ways that you can style a blog overview or blog directory page. Now we have a blog. We're gonna get some traffic to our website. Google and AI are gonna send lots of people there to read our fabulous content, and then we probably want to sell people something. So let's talk about e-commerce next. Up in our main navigation, I'm going to add another page, and this time we're going to use a different page type, and this time we're going to use the store. I'm going to quickly take a pick out of these 4 different layout options. Also know you can change this later, so you're not married to any one of these though. Okay, so I'm really liking the color of this page. I think the demo content is also really lovely. So we're just gonna add one more product to this page so you get the idea of how to do that yourself. So first thing you wanna do is click on the plus button, and then there's many types of things that you can sell in Squarespace. Truly, you can sell pretty much anything you can think of on here now. It's really convenient. Physical products, services. So that is, say if I'm designing your website for you, that's a service. There's a set price. I build website, you get finished website. That's a service. Group events, consulting packages, gift cards, downloadable files, PDFs, whatever, and custom merch are your different options. In this section of e-commerce, you can also sell appointments. There's also an entire other section of Squarespace for if you want to sell like online courses or memberships, which is not even included in here. So truly, everything you can think of, you can sell. But for this example, we are going to talk about a physical product because that is probably the most straightforward to get your brain around. Let's say it's an heirloom gold memory cup. We can customize the add cart button text. I'm going to leave it as add cart, makes a lot of sense. In the additional info section, I would definitely recommend if you're genuinely selling actual products to use this, because if you just give it a teeny tiny description, that might not be enough to sell someone on your product. So what you can do here is you can add in a ton of information. You could add in frequently asked questions. You could add in what are the materials. You could add in what are the dimensions. You could add in images. You could add in videos with your product. So basically, if you just want text, then you just type your text here. If you want some other format of content in here, you could add images in here. You could add a video in here, and I would say that this is probably the most useful spot to put a video. So if you have some sort of like unboxing, or maybe there's, I don't know, some sort of influencer who has used your product and you want to show the video on the product page, or some famous person wore your thing and there's a video, paparazzi video of them wearing it, then that would be a really good thing to put in there. So in order to do that, you could say, click add a video. And then in terms of adding said video, there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can either upload a file. So if you have some sort of like video on your own computer, you can do that. Alternatively, you can add from link. So say there's a video living on YouTube, again, say an influencer posted about your content, then you can add a video link. It will then display that video on your product page. So say their YouTube video, Vimeo video, that sort of thing. For now, I'm going to delete all this, but just so you know, those options are there. Now, adding a form to a cart is another thing that you can do. So that means if, say you're doing custom monogrammed pillows, then you obviously need the initials of the customer in order to put that content onto their pillow. So you could add a form and create new form and add a form field which says your initials. And then they could write in the description their initials. You could click it as required or not required and save and apply. And then, again, this does make a lot of sense for a cup. Unless, no, you could put your initials on a cup, I guess, but you get the idea. Then we have our images section. This is where we can add multiple different images to the product. So I'm going to click upload file. I'm going to take a demo image from Squarespace. So the first image that you have here is your thumbnail or featured image. Then you can add multiple images there if you wanted to, if you had multiple different variations or angles of your product, then, which you probably should. You can click here to set the price. Now the currency of my website is currently Swiss francs because, fun fact, I live in Switzerland. However, we can set later the currency of your store. Doesn't necessarily need to be your local currency. So let's say it's a 25 Swiss franc mug. Why the short form for Swiss francs is CHF, I do not know. And then if you would like to put your product on sale, you can toggle it here and select whatever the sale price is. Let's say it's on sale for 21 Swiss francs. The stock, you can either set it as unlimited stock or toggle that off and have a limited stock. For something like a cup, you probably actually have a limited stock. So we can just go ahead and type in our number, or again, you can put unlimited stock. Only do that if you actually have unlimited stock, or if you're like selling a digital product or something of that sort, probably that's when that would make sense. We also have the option to add variants. So let's say, for example, we have cups in different sizes. Maybe we have a tall, a grande, and a venti size version of this specific heirloom gold memory cup, then we could go ahead and add those different sizes. So different variants, again, the most common ones, color, size, material. You can also add custom though. So if there's some other something that you're gonna categorize or organize your products by, you can also add that in as a custom option. I should also mention that you can add multiple different variants. So you could have size and color, or you could have, what do we have? Size, color, and material. You can have multiple different ones, if that makes sense, all on the same product. And then once you have your different variants, you can also, within there, edit the number of units of each one, or the stock of each one. Then if you want this to be a subscription purchase, so let's say, for example, you're selling coffee beans and maybe someone wants their coffee delivered to them every single month, you could set up a subscription option for them. When it comes to fulfillment, you will want to put in the dimensions of the specific product so that when we go to set up the actual like shipping options, this is kind of important information for the shipping options when you get to that point. You also have the ability to categorize and organize your products. Now, if you have a small shop like this one, which I'm doing on this website, you probably don't need this. But if you are planning on building the next Nordstrom, then you would actually want to do this. So this would be, let's say, for example, you're a clothing store. It's the easiest description or easiest example: dresses, t-shirts, trousers, shoes, jewelry, handbags, that sort of stuff. Those would be examples of your different categories. Tags are more specific. So let's say in that same clothing store example, tags could be something like midi dress, maxi dress, mini dress, for example. It's kind of like more specific than categories. You have the ability here to set up automated tax collection. And then as we go further on to selling tools, we can make something a featured product. So that means that if we have, say, a section on our website where we want to have like the most popular products, then if you toggle on this and then add a summary block to another page, let's say on your homepage, you want to feature your most popular products, you would toggle on featured product. We would save and publish this product. And then on our homepage, we could use a summary block to pull all of our most popular and featured products onto, say, the homepage. As you can see, we have a number of different options: related products, products reviews, those sorts of things, and also the ability to edit the SEO description, the shop page URL, or this specific product page URL, which I would definitely suggest changing that to something actually like SEO friendly, something someone might actually type into Google or into AI to find things, because that is kind of important. If you do leave a section blank, by the way, as you can see, it says the description will automatically be generated by search engines. Click below to provide an alternative description. So you can either write your own description, or if you want to leave it up to the robots, they can also do that for you. Now, just like if you're familiar with the blog editor in Squarespace, you can either schedule a product to go live at a certain day and time, or you can simply set it to publish right at the moment. And ta-da, my new option and product has been added into my shop. That was very, very easy. Next, let's talk about getting this shop actually online and functioning. So we're gonna click on the continue store setup, keep going. We have created a product, fabulous. Next, adding ways to get paid. This right here at the bottom is what I was mentioning before. The store currency, you can choose to change it. It's going to set to whatever your local currency is. So I'm going to change it just to USD. And then when it comes to payment processors, if you've only ever been a customer before, you probably have no idea that this literal ginormous business exists, but it is a massive business. So how it works is when you go into a store as a person, or you buy something on the internet, you type in your credit card details, then what happens is there's something called a payment processor, which checks, hey, do they have enough money in their bank account or in their credit card or whatever to buy this product, which they are choosing to buy. And then it needs to take the money from your bank account and give it to the shop owner. And a payment processor is the thing that actually makes that happen. So it actually isn't the credit card company, and it's not your bank doing it. It's one of these guys. And so the major options I would say are Stripe and PayPal. Use Stripe. I won't go into more details. I will just say that I highly recommend, in my years of experience selling things on the internet, that it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. So you will need to create a Stripe account that is a separate company from Squarespace. So when you click on connect, it will open up a new tab and it will guide you through the process of setting up a Stripe account if you don't already have one, or connecting your current Stripe account if you do already have one. So just so you know, That's what that is. You also have the option of PayPal. I'll leave you to your own devices in terms of actually setting up your own Stripe or PayPal account because I'm not going to go through that in this tutorial, but just follow the prompts and it should lead you every step of the way. Now coming back, I am going to head back into my shop. I'm going into products and services, and then we can see I still have a few more bits to do. It wants me to connect a payment processor. Not going to do that for the example in this video, but that just is something that you will need to do before you can actually sell anything through your website. And then we get into shipping. So there are many different options. One, you can add your own like individual shipping options for your people to choose from. Call that a little bit complicated, like deciding a flat rate for everything in your shop, or weight-based. Up to you. There is Easy Ship. That's probably a good idea. You do also have the option for your customer to check a checkout. Oh, actually, maybe you're like a very local business and people will just swing by and pick up their product. Then you can set that up as an option. Local delivery, if you only deliver within a very specific area. Let's say you're a florist and you're only delivering to the towns in a certain mile radius of yourself, then you can have local delivery. And then a very common thing to offer is free shipping. So you can also set up a free shipping discount there as well. We're just going to add discount percentage. There's a few different discounting options. You can make a zillion different types of discounts for your store. Percentage off, amount off, buy X, get Y, or free shipping or local delivery. That's also an option that you can set up too. You can set up your discounts to be, they have to use a certain code, which then you would probably publish somewhere on your website, like your announcement bar saying like sale 20 or spring 15 or whatever. Or you could have something automatically applied at checkout. Say for example, that's a great example is the whole like, if you spend more than this amount of money, then you're gonna get free shipping. That's very common. But for now, I want to go back to all of my pages, show you a little bit about tweaking the design of the overview shop page where you have all your different products listed. So I'm gonna go into edit on the page, then I'm going to go into edit section. So I'm gonna go into edit on the page, and then we have a few different options. So the first thing is we can change up the design or the content in this top section here. So shop the collection. I don't know if that's a super useful thing to put there. I'm going to remove this. We can either have nothing in this top section. We could just fully delete this top section if you feel like I don't have anything specific to say here. If you do want to add something above before they get into the actual products, again, a very common thing to put up here would be, say, your different, you could do like icons. I love that look. Is, say you're selling, I don't know, everything related to coffee. You could have a little icon or a little image that shows like coffee beans, and then you could have another image that shows espresso machines, and then you could have another image that shows fancy travel mugs, and then fancy coffee mugs that you have at home in your house. So those are ideas of like the type of thing that you might put up in a top section, if that makes sense. Adding bits and pieces to this top section here of your e-commerce section is the same as adding bits and pieces to any other section on your website, as we've already covered, so I won't go over it again now. To design beautiful sections within your website, change up the look, change up the layout, change up the styles, the background, all those things. That's all covered in the other video. If we go into the actual edit section, we will see a variety of different options in here. First thing we can do is change up the number of columns that are happening. So say, I think I like this better because I think otherwise the cups are way too massive. So we have, say, 3 columns, or you can do 4 columns or 4 columns or 1 per, but I think, or no, sorry, 2 per, but I think it might be a little bit too big in this situation. We can change up the aspect ratio of the thumbnail or featured image. So let's say, for example, this also depends on the type of product you're selling as to like what actually makes the most sense. But here is an example of a vertically cropped and ratio image. We can choose to show or hide the price on this blog overview page. Even if you show or hide the price here, once they go to the actual product specific page, it will show it. We haven't added any categories to these products yet, so nothing is appearing, but when you add products or categories to the products, which I covered very quickly in the product specific editor, then it would appear down the left-hand side of the page here. Let me add a category to a couple of products so you can see this in action. I'm going to go into my shop and then into the settings of a product, edit product, organization, categories. Okay, tall hats. Whoops. Sorry, I was adding the categories and then I'm forgetting to check them. Done, save. Going to go into another product. categorize that. Okay, and now you can see now that I've actually added some categories to one of my products or multiple of my products, now they appear on the left-hand side there. So let me go back into the section editor. We can have an add to cart button directly on this overview page or not, so they would then click into the product to then decide, do I want that thing? And you can also change up the color background of your store as well, which is pulled from your site styles. So I do encourage you, come in here, play around with the different layouts and options and cropping ratios of images and all those things until you get it to something that you feel like it looks fabulous. Selling products is obviously one fantastic way to make money in an online business. However, another fantastic way is, like Lena will be doing, is actually selling her services. And for that, sometimes you need someone to book an appointment with you, whether that is a paid appointment with you or a free appointment with you. We can have both options inside of Squarespace. So let's talk next about the scheduling section. First thing that we want to do is create an appointment type. I'm going to do a new type of service and label it. So Lena she would probably have two types of appointments. The first type is just a free introductory consultation call. And then second would probably be maybe like a 3-hour wedding budgeting consultation, maybe, let's say, for example. So let's set that up. So complimentary consultation. Then we can add a description. Then we can select the duration of the meeting. 30 minutes, I feel like, is fabulous. You can increase or decrease that. You can also, and I really like doing this, block off time before or after the appointment. So I personally like, as the person who runs a business, that say you have people book back-to-back meetings, it's a little bit stressful, and then you feel terribly if you're like, oh, sorry, I need to leave. So I tend to block off at least 10 to 15 minutes before and after an appointment. Also, that helps me if I, again, have back-to-back appointments. I can take notes or send a quick email or follow up with something I said I was going to follow up on the call before I have to get on the next one. For something like a free consultation, this is going to be free. If, however, we were creating the appointment type for her 3-hour budgeting whatever, then we would put some sort of price on this. So let's say if it was our budgeting session, maybe it would be $300. However, it is this one, which I'm creating now, is a complimentary consultation. So we're going to keep that at 0. Color doesn't really matter. Private appointment type just means that only people who you send this exact link to can actually find this. Otherwise, the appointment type is public, so anyone on your website can see and access and book this thing. So if you say have offerings or options which are only available to say past clients or something, then you could tick on the private appointment type and then just share that link directly with that person. You can add an image for this. It always looks good. So let's add it in. Good. Is automatically connected to my calendar. You can view all calendars and then select your own calendar. It's because it's connected to my account, it's connecting to my calendar. You can have the person complete a form upon booking this appointment. That is an option. If you want to do that, it's the same as creating any other sort of form, which I will have showed you earlier in the video, so I won't go over that again. Now we're going to create this appointment. Now you'll see we have a new complimentary consultation option, which is 30 minutes, no price set, 10-minute padding before, 10-minute padding after. So that is fabulous. Now let's talk about how do we get this appointment onto somewhere on the website so someone can actually see it and book it. So we are going to go out of the scheduling area, back to the website. And let's say maybe on the services page, we want to have this option. Add a blank section. And let's I want to add a text block. Let's meet to chat there. And then I'm going to add a block. And this time I want to find the scheduling option, drop it in the middle, click edit. And instead of having it go to all public appointment types, which then we have the consultation, complimentary consultation. Also, if you have a lot of things in here, then this could get overwhelming and confusing. On this specific page, it's I already know what I want this person to do. They're on the services page. In order to book my services, I need to book this complimentary consultation. So therefore, I'm not going to have all publicly available appointment types. I'm just going to go to a specific one, and that will be the complimentary consultation. So then it will just automatically show that one option. So I'm going to leave that like so for now. Now, the design of it, I'm going to go back into, so Acuity, is actually a company which Squarespace bought, which was, this is your fun fact, which was a separate company. Squarespace bought it, and now it is their appointment scheduling like functionality within their software. So that's why sometimes it says QoD, sometimes it says scheduling. I want to change the background color so that this looks more, here are styles. Color, background, choosing from my color palette, and scheduler background. There we go. That looks much, much better. Going to go back into my website just to kind of define this section from the others. Just going to put a line all the way across here, and that looks better. And perfect. There we have our appointment scheduler. Okay, let's discuss what you have been waiting for, and that is how to extend your Squarespace free trial to be longer than the normal 2 weeks. So, I don't know if you got through this tutorial in 1 sitting or 17 sittings because it is long. I think I took 5 different breaks while filming this. Don't know if you could tell. So it is possible that you will build your entire website in 2 weeks. It is possible that you will not get around to building your entire website in 2 weeks. And what do you do in that situation? The good news is that if you have not finished building your website in 2 weeks, Squarespace doesn't just delete it. It is still there. It still exists. You just need to upgrade your plan in order to finish building it, or you can use my Squarespace free trial extension hack. It is totally legitimate. This is how it works. You are a nice human and you go to Squarespace support and you ask them kindly to extend it. And literally every time someone is asked, I've never heard someone get turned down for it. You just ask and they say yes, and then they extend it by another like 2 weeks. So in order to contact Squarespace, you just go into the bottom left-hand corner, click on the help button. Oh, contact us. Ooh, oh, it even addresses me by name now. Oh, this is fancy. They did a redesign of this page. Click on the contact us button, start having a conversation with the support assistant. If needed, it will redirect you to an actual human. They're very nice people. They work in New York City, Dublin, and somewhere else where I'm forgetting. But they actually train and educate their customer service staff, which means you get good, useful help. They can help you with a ton of things. They can help you with extending your Squarespace free trial, and they can help you with website building questions and a zillion other things. So that is how it's done. They can manage your website from the back end, and they can go ahead and extend your free trial from the back end too. So just ask kindly for your extra 2 weeks, and do comment down below if that worked or did not work for you. Again, I've never heard of them saying no to someone up until this point. So do just comment below though, because I'd love to hear your experience too. Okay, but coming back to the website, let's talk about actually launching and making this website live, a very important and exciting part. Go into settings and then go into website availability. Right now, it will be private. In order to set it to be public so that anyone can see the website, we need to upgrade to publish. So upgrade means paying for some sort of Squarespace plan. So the thing to know is I have friends in high places / I'm a Circle Gold partner, which means that my pricing is going to be slightly better than the one that you're seeing on your website right now. Mine's just a couple dollars a month cheaper because I get 28% off any website which I build, which is very exciting. However, I will mention I do have a discount code which I can give you. So it is page 10, P-A-I-G-E 10, my name and then the number 10, which you can use to get 10% off any of these different options here. Once you have picked said plan, it will ask you for your credit card details and all your information, those sorts of things. Pop it in. It'll also ask you for what is the domain name that you want to use for this website, which is where we started all the way hours ago. And then it will walk you through the steps to set it live. I'm not going to set this website live. It's just for the purposes of filming this video. So Squarespace will walk you through the rest of that. Squarespace has 4 different plans, but I think 99% of you watching this video will really just be deciding between 2 plans, the most basic ones. So there's the personal plan and then the business plan. Now included in both of these is first the template that you get to start off as a jumping off point for your design. A lot of other website builders, you need to go buy a template somewhere else separately, but that's not the case here. Also, the website builder and editor itself is included. You also get a free custom domain if you choose to pay annually. A domain, if you're unfamiliar, by the way, is that, again, yourwebsite.com. For example, my domain name is my name, paigebrunton.com. Also included is an SEO editor. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Squarespace has the tools that you need to optimize your site website to rank in the search engines, and AI searches included with no extra plugin needed. They have genuinely great customer support, website analytics so you can see how many people are coming to your website, from where they're coming, on which kind of devices they're visiting your website, what Google searches maybe led them to your website, all those things. You can connect up Google Analytics to your website, but if you want that information a lot more simply and easier to understand, I do really love Squarespace Analytics for that. You can also host videos on your website. Different plans have different amount of video storage, or you can of course do any of these plans, add unlimited video lengths to your website just by embedding a YouTube video onto your website, which is super simple. Plus you have unlimited bandwidth. That means no limit on how much content you can add or the number of visitors that your website has ever. You also get SSL security, that is ensuring that there is a safe connection between your website and the person who is visiting your website. This is something which Google loves and ranks sites which have this more highly. You also have included in both plans the ability to code or embed content from other sites or softwares onto your website. And then from here we get into the differences of the two plans. Mainly it's about a few more advanced features, and if you want those on your website, like the ability to do some more advanced coding or have something like a pop-up on your website. Now, if you're watching this beginner's tutorial, I doubt you're going to be getting into super advanced coding anytime soon, so you are probably going to be pretty set with the personal plan. And again, we can start and build the entire website for free before you pay. Now, regarding the two plans I haven't spoken about yet, they're for when you have a very high volume of online sales through your website. Let's say you're selling tens of thousands of dollars a month of product through your website, and you want to benefit from lower fees for taking payments from your customer's credit card. That's when one of these more expensive monthly plans makes sense, and it will actually be worth it for you to do so. But again, that's a little complex for a beginner's video, so let's just move along. Now, no matter which plan you pick, by the way, I do have a discount code that you can use. It is PAIGE10, PAIGE10. That will get you off 10% for anything, your first purchase with Squarespace, website plan, domain, email marketing, subscription, all the things. You can use that code. Also, by the way, on some of the plans, you can get a professional email address of say hello@yourname.com or hello at whatever your domain name is .com. Squarespace has an offer where you can get a professional Gmail email for free when you pay in full for your first year of Squarespace. That is definitely worth taking advantage of, as if you were planning to get a professional email with Gmail anyways, it would cost you, I think it's maybe like $84-ish a year or so. So definitely a good savings there. Okay, let's talk about the 4 biggest design mistakes, or basically just like 4 things that used to be very common on websites that are kind of making your website look a bit outdated at this point. So the first is very short sections. This was very common back in the day. You basically have this short little stripe of a color in the background and then some content put on top of it, and then you would scroll and you would see the next one and the next one and the next one. Now, that is not really the vibe anymore on websites. Typically, your section takes up at least the entire height of a screen, and then maybe even as you're scrolling, you're still on the same like section. It still has the same background color, if that makes sense. So yeah, this one is super quick and simple, takes 5 seconds. Just extend the height of your sections and it's gonna look so much more modern. The next thing when it comes to design that I feel like you should know about is this, what a lot of designers think about is like, how can I make sure that it's not just like a completely static website, that there is some amount of movement or dynamicism happening in the website. So basically make sure to make a little bit, not too much, don't go overboard, but make a little bit of use of some of the animation features to sort of have things like moving into the page or moving ever so slightly on the page as people scroll through. Adding just a hint of this here and there every couple of sections on your website is going to make it look very designer. Now, number 3 is white backgrounds. It's funny because back in the day in like website building, everyone was like, have more white space on your website, which basically just means like blank negative space where there's nothing happening there so that your website doesn't look too cluttered. And while that rule is still true, we still want the white space, but we don't want it to be actually the color white. So websites these days are a lot more colorful. Even a background color tends to not be white anymore. It tends to be like a beige color is very much so on trend when it comes to websites these days. When you choose a nice like neutral beige color for the background as opposed to a like clinical white, if you're a dentist, if you're actually some sort of like clinical style business, then okay, white might fit and make sense and be perfect. But in basically all other situations, it feels a little cold for most businesses. So go with like a nice light neutral color as your white space and your background color, as opposed to just going for like a harsh white. And number 4 design thing that you should be very conscious of is squishing your content. So you know how we just spoke about white space, non-white white space? Same thing goes for your content. You don't want it all to feel cluttered up and stuck together. You're afraid that someone isn't going to scroll down the website and, oh, will they see this thing? I need to get it all above the fold of the website, or I need to pack as many things into this section as I can. That doesn't look good. And yes, people are so used to this all day, every day. Scroll, 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 scroll. They will go down your website. That's not a problem. Make your website look intentional. Have one main idea per section, one main call to action per section, and then give it breathing room, white space around the content so that the eye is actually drawn to whatever is in that section. If you have 47 things happening on this little piece of website page, then it's going to be really confusing for your user to actually even know what to do, and it's also just not going to look very good. If you thoroughly enjoy building a website, maybe you would also like to actually design websites for friends and family, or maybe also even paying clients one day. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but that's quite literally how I started a web design business, with literally a tutorial on YouTube like this, and then deciding, you know what, being a website designer would kind of be a fun, well-paid side hustle. Of course, to turn this from a fun hobby to a real paying business, you're going to need clients. So I get that that feels maybe a bit overwhelming. So I made you a 5-day guided challenge called the Dream Client Booking Blueprint. It is a step-by-step plan that walks you through how to define your niche, price your new web designer services offer, and land your next paid client without needing a ton of real legitimate previous clients to build a portfolio with to get started. So that is the Dream Client Booking Blueprint. If you're interested, I will link the details for it for you below. Now, building a website is one thing, but getting people to pay you to build them a website as a freelancer is quite another. And the only thing between you and an extremely well-paid side hustle or new full-time role as website designer is finding those well-paying clients. So I made this video for you to watch next. Watch it and all of your web design client finding troubles will be solved.